Let's talk about expanding the definition of we. When most people say we don't want violence, what they tend to mean is that the people that they know and the people in their immediate community do not want there to be violence in the election cycle. But what's really amazing, and what I've learned in conversations with people around the country, across the political spectrum, is that the truth is the vast majority of people do not want violence, regardless of how they feel about anything else and regardless of where they are on the political spectrum. It means we're in the majority. Those of us who are not interested in violence in the election cycle vastly outnumber people who specifically do. So when I talk about expanding the definition of we, what I mean by that is talking to everybody and taking everybody into consideration. If we collectively, the huge majority in this country, does not want election violence, then can we work together? Most people are just people who are doing the best they can to live the life they can as well as they can. And the question that we need to ask is what approach to violence prevention is going to work well in each community for the very real people who live there. This is something that's been really interesting for me to learn about as I've done research internationally into how election violence prevention really works. It's that a national campaign is kind of fine, but actually what you really, really need is a local campaign. You need people talking with their neighbors and talking with their own friends and families and talking with the people that they work with and talking with the community groups that are nearby. But this also means talking across political differences and cultural differences and theological differences and class differences, because we cannot make peace by only talking to the people that we agree with. So it means really reaching out. Well, listen, some people are hard to talk to. In fact, for a lot of us, many people are hard to talk to. We're not accustomed to having to build relationships with strangers, and especially not with people that we might not have very much in common with. But later on in other videos, I'll give you some techniques for how this actually works. Election cycles are inherently contentious. That's part of the election cycle. So when we're talking about election violence prevention, we're not actually talking about compromising or finding ways to agree. It's about finding ways to disagree and disagree passionately, just not violently. Again, we're talking about expanding the definition of we. When we say we don't want election violence, that includes a huge number of people in the country. And let's make those connections and say, if you agree that we don't want election violence, then you, for this purpose, is on this team.